This episode of the Community Workbench podcast is proudly sponsored by yours truly, Matt Norton of Remax Bell Park Realty. For all of your real estate needs, residential and commercial, call me 860-428-6534. Your dreams are my job. Welcome to the Community Workbench. This is Matt and Kyle at the bench trying to repair the sense of community by bringing you small businesses, entrepreneurs, community leaders, charities, and anyone else that even remotely resembles that. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with the VIPs of the Loomis Team, Lynn, Tedeschi, Converse, and Dick Loomis.
Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Hey, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. It's great.
This is awesome. So, I mean, you were, the Loomis Team wasn't just the two of you when it started, right? It was
Actually,
you
it
as
started as it was Loomis Real Estate.
Loomis Real Estate.
Yep.
You were a broker
Yep.
for a number of years, right?
Yep. Yeah, for 27 years.
Wow.
Yep.
How did that start? How did you get into it?
I got into it in 1981.
Wow.
I was a realtor with Russ Hicks, or Sparrow Hicks Real Estate.
Nice.
Way back, and it was a totally different market. It was pretty interesting. Did that for 5 years, and I opened mine for 27. And then Mike Meehan from Remax and I, we were having a beer one night, and we flipped a coin who was going to buy who. and he lost. So for 13 years, I've been involved with Remax, and that's when Lynn and I got together and formed a team.
Wow.
Yep.
And I'll say 7 years ago when I got in,
Yes.
you guys were just incredible mentors for
Well,
me.
thank you.
And my first deal happened to be I had a buyer, Lynn had the seller. And,
Wow, I like that first.
Yeah, and my buyer was Ed Peach, the painter.
Yep,
And
yep.
I mean, he's just a boatload of fun. He's been on the podcast before and everything. So
Fox Hill Road.
yeah, yeah. And Lynn was super gentle for my first one. It was great. So,
How's she been lately?
You're seasoned now.
yeah. So Lynn, how did you get into this whole craziness?
My real estate career actually started in 2001.
Okay.
And this is my second career. Unlike Dick, I've only been in the business for 23 years. So I graduated from college with a degree in medical technology, worked at Day Kimball Hospital for 13 years on the night shift. And I wanted to get to days because as the kids got older, it was hard to work nights. And I almost fell asleep on the way home one day, saw a telephone pole and went, I got to change. And my mom had a real estate business, Tedeschi Real Estate Center. So in 2001, I started working with her.
Wow.
And then things progressed, and it was great. I actually think I met Dick in 1981.
81.
Wow.
When I was in high school, he was working for Hicks Real Estate, and I was cleaning the offices because that's actually where my mom started. So I've known him a long time, but we became partners in 2013 when I switched to rent over to Remax.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And then, what's your team dynamic like? Because you guys are really one of the only teams in the area that I know of that. And
Yeah, I think we work, pretty well together.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone who knows the two of us knows we.
Yeah, she points, I do it.
And it works.
It works really well. It's almost like being married.
Now you do a lot more commercial.
I'm about 50-50 right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, it's so tough here in Northeast Connecticut. There's not a lot of commercial happening, although that's starting to grow. And you see a lot of big companies out there. There's some wonderful ones, Lyman, and you get Tony Shabbat. We really, really work well together.
Yeah.
So that again, there's not a ton of business to be able, I think, to support yourself 100%. So pretty much 50% residential, 50% commercial.
Yeah, I would
Yep.
say that's, almost for everything real
Yeah.
estate in this genre. You can't just do rentals. You can't just do
Yep.
equestrian. You can't just do
Yeah, you need to
foreclosures.
be
You have to
diverse.
be
Yeah.
diverse and know.
And Matt, I think one of the interesting things about the commercial part of it is that it takes a lot of the heart out of it. I mean, again, you go into a residential and, your dad built this, mom built that, somebody did that. So folks have a special need or a feeling about that. Commercial, strictly numbers.
Oh, yeah.
This times this equals this, does it work?
Right,
So
right.
it
Yeah.
really makes a big difference.
Yeah, I definitely with working with buyers for residentials, like first time home or
Absolutely.
their second home or they're retiring, and there's a lot more to be sensitive about, and it's a lot more to learn about the person.
Yep.
That's either selling or buying. And but yeah, I've done one commercial deal myself.
And how long did that take? 18
Um,
months.
I closed it almost on the anniversary of its 1 year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
it was a smaller piece. And I'm open to do commercial more and more. And, I love having Dick in the back pocket to call him and ask questions about it and stuff. But yeah, the commercial market is very different, very kind of cold kind of thing. And if the numbers work, the numbers work. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you guys ever find people like, if the price of a property is too high, like you do the numbers and make an offer based on that? Just like,
This is such a different market than it has been. Being in the business for decades, you go through cycles.
yeah,
And right now, we're not in that cycle. It will
for
come.
residential, but for
Right.
commercial,
Yeah.
I feel like it's always about
I think
the numbers.
the commercial buyers just know.
Yeah.
And again, when you get over a 4-family, that becomes commercial at that point. One of the issues that comes in is that you do the numbers. And the problem is, as landlords, and I've been through that a long time, we're not going to raise the rent. We're not getting the maximum. We're not doing that. So when you start doing a portfolio and you put it out there, the rents don't make any sense between your water, your sewer, your taxes, your, today your trash.
Yeah.
I mean, you put that all together and you say, okay, I'm getting $650 a month times 4. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
yeah, especially with the new mortgage coming in. Yeah,
Exactly.
so
So that's always the thing. But again, the large commercial buildings, it's done by the square foot. It's done by triple net and all the things that go along with that. So it's a little
Yeah.
bit different.
right.
Yeah.
So, let's talk a little bit more. One of the so at Remax Bell Park, we all get award night, and there's awards and stuff. And one of the ones that I always admired about you guys was how often you get the community service award. I know I won it 1 year.
Yeah, we went
were
there.
off
We went
that
there.
That
Yeah, you guys had a lot of
surprised me.
vacations that year.
Was anybody there that year?
But I mean, do you guys even know how many boards you sit on? How many different committees
It's
you work
so
with?
important.
It is.
so
It is.
important,
And you guys do so well with it,
Yeah.
with the how much time it consumes and everything. You guys really manage that really well.
Yeah.
You know.
Right from even before real estate, it's just something you like to do.
Yeah.
And it's something that, is helpful, or either your kids started with it and you got involved and then it kept going and going. And, there's a whole lot of stuff out there to do. And sometimes it's 2 hours a week and sometimes it's 45 hours a week, but yeah, it's great. It feels so good.
Yeah. What's the next event you guys are working on?
Right now, it's going to be a business after hours with the Business Association.
Okay.
Yeah, and then followed up by a lot of things there. I think there's a what is it? A business
The
get together,
Business
I guess, for the
Expo.
Chamber of Commerce. That's going to be next week, and it just goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
There's so
Now,
much.
The 1 year I went to the zombie fashion show, you
Yes.
guys were working that. Are you
Yep.
guys doing that?
Yep.
That's,
That's this Friday.
that is
Yeah.
this Friday. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
57 entrants.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Is it the most they've
Wow.
had?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were hoping to get like 52, 53. It's 57 as of this morning. It's probably more right now.
Yeah.
But
It's
what a-
just
what a
it's
fantastic night.
grown and grown. And
Yes.
Yeah.
So many of these events just grow every
Yeah.
year, which then you need more volunteers for.
Yep.
And it's,
Yeah.
I mean,
it's-
February had the biggest fire and ice.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
It's great.
Oh yeah, I've worked the last 10 of those.
Yes.
It's fun every year. You want to say, "Oh, I'm done,"
Yep.
but you just, it's so much fun, and you see so many different things, and it's
Yeah.
just fun to help people. They walk around town like, with their eyes to the sky, and you're like, "Hey, can I help you?" And you just know where to direct them.
Yeah. And it's
Matt,
so
speaking of helping and stuff too, Thursday afternoon we're setting up the mansion for the zombie.
Do you know how to
3
use a
o'clock.
hammer?
3 o'clock down at the park. Okay, Rotary Park if you're around.
I'm sure he has plenty
All
of
right.
time.
I'll check this.
Kyle, I don't know what you're doing. Anyway, I'm looking for 4 guys. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah,
We'll talk about that later.
for sure.
Heavy lifting. Heavy lifting.
I'll do what I can. I always try. The fire and ice thing is wild. I love being there at 7 a.m.
Yep.
You kind of get that behind the scenes look.
Yeah.
I love being part of that team, the
Yep.
crew with
Yeah. You see
Earl
the day grow.
Rosenbrook and,
Yeah.
Yep.
and everybody.
Put out 67 tables. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And what do? Put it here.
Welcome to my life. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's when you point and I do what you do.
Yeah, reel them in. That's the other fun thing is you know when you work on all these committees and you work with people, you reel in the new people, and that's good to teach them.
Yeah,
because
and you make
you're
sense.
a lot younger and you're going to be here, you know, to do that stuff.
And it's so much fun, and like the people you get close to. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, just look at us. We've always
Yep.
worked at these events, and it's just so much fun.
Yep.
Now we're, you know, we're good friends. I think, right?
We'll see how this turns out.
I mean,
I mean, you
Kyle-
bribed him to come here, right?
Free wine and beer. Don't we do that for everybody?
Oh. That bubble just got burst.
We're doing a thing over at the Putnam Rotary Club. I've been a member for 30 years. Just a fabulous organization. But so what's happening every other week or so, Doug Porter, who's president of that, is now saying, okay, why don't you give a little who you are and what you do? And no one talks about what they've done or what they've done. They've always talked about who they met. Who they met being in Rotary. Some 55 friends, probably 40 of them I never would have known.
Wow.
Never would have known had not been Rotary.
Wow.
So we've been very close that way. It's terrific.
Yeah. What's the Rotary Club like? Like I know that they do a lot of events and fundraising. Is there?
They do. We have a meeting every week. Again, attendance used to be really important. Now they say, look, just make what you can. We meet at Day Kimball Hospital now, and it's just it's a lot of scholarships, a lot of donations, a lot of fundraising. I mean, between what we used to have was a rose sale. Now we still have we have a golf tournament. We've got a couple of other functions that raise money, and then basically we send that back out to the community.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I've played the golf tournament.
Okay.
I think.
Golf tournaments are another. I mean, you know, it's you're fun, you don't work, you can play on a golf tournament, but that is another true community event. That and it's fundraising, but you meet so many people.
Oh yeah.
Or people you know, but you don't get the 10 minutes to talk to them and
Yeah.
have fun with them. So
Right.
I think you know we try to sponsor a lot of those, but it's really you gotta like say, okay, I'm not the best golfer in the world, but you still have a lot of fun.
It's like she knows you.
I play in as many as my liver will allow.
Well,
Yeah, they do. They do bribe you with some free drinks for sure.
So,
But I talk to folks that are getting in new in the business, and they say, okay, what should I be doing? I said, well, you know, it's nice to be joining this. It's not that I'm going to go to the Elks Club and I'm going to get a lead. I'm going to the Elks Club because I want to help out. I really want to help out.
Right.
If I get a lead, lucky me.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is with all of these the
Oh, yeah,
philanthropic
for
organizations.
sure.
It really is. Don't go in there with the idea that you're going to be, you're going in there for business, because that doesn't work.
right.
That
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Yeah. No.
No.
I just. I don't know if you guys know this, but I'm kind of a social person. So I just like to me, I was like, let's go talk and hang out.
that's
So, and and to me, when you're working with somebody, you have something to do with your hands, and
Absolutely.
you're talking, hanging out, and going through that. I love that. So,
yeah.
yeah.
It's really to make the business to if you're in real estate. I mean, the people who aren't in it think, oh, great, you get to see all these beautiful houses and you show houses, but it's so much more than that.
Right.
And then to continue business, you have to continue that relationship. And I think being part of the community and doing a lot of the things we do is we see those people more often than we might not have, versus just a card or something. So.
Right.
And there's nothing more rewarding than being out with someone and they'll introduce you. This is Dick Loomis, my realtor. I mean, that's kind of a
Oh,
cool
that's
thing.
cool.
It really is. It really is. It happened recently. It was just kind of nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool when people kind of like just coming together and making something out of nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like having that like we built this.
Yeah.
I was talking to the owner of 85 Main, and it was him and two other shops on each side of him that started Fire and Ice on their
Oh,
patio,
right, Okay. yeah.
like
Yep.
15 years ago
Yep.
or whatever it was. And he's like, yeah, we had like 3 ice sculptures. And
Yeah, now it's the biggest ice block festival in New England, or it's huge.
Or as you would say, in your basement.
number 1 podcast in the basement.
Yeah,
And today we have number 1 and number 2 of the Loomis Team.
oh, okay. So who's number 1?
I'm not saying.
No, it works really well.
It's up to the viewers to decide.
That's
Good
right.
luck.
That's right. One
But
chicken.
again, so many different organizations. Lynn and I deliver food every Wednesday for Daily
wow.
Bread. It's just wonderful. And Karen Osby takes care of that. And she's got a great group of volunteers. We'll get down there, we'll grab it, and then it's basically for the elderly, and we'll go out and deliver that. And that's kind of neat.
That is so
It really is. PBA, we've done an awful lot of the blood drives.
Yeah.
So I work on that real hard because at one point I'd given up to almost 9 gallons, but then my iron was low, so I can't do that anymore. So I just kind of substitute that with that. And it's so great. The YMCA, they're just terrific. People appreciate it. So we do a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
Gotta
yeah.
get some more red meat, steak, and liver. Yeah.
Yeah.
Iron will go up.
Someone told me Oreos.
Oh,
And I've been
Sounds
Oreos and beers. Does that sound like a nice dinner?
Sounds like diabetes.
that's a different show.
Now you can't give for the other reason. When is the next blood drive for that? Do you know?
There was one last Thursday, so it should be 7 weeks from then. So that's going to
Okay.
put us into late October.
Oh, they try and just get the same people every
Yeah.
time, 7 weeks
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah, it works when you get on the schedule. I got to get on that schedule.
Oh,
I'm
you've
a
been
li-
to one
Yeah.
of those blood
Right,
drives.
and that was
Yeah.
when my schedule happened to line up with it.
Yeah.
I got to realign, so which
I
means
mean, you don't do much, but
which means
We have what,
Well, it
Monday
means
night?
skipping a cycle or
Oh.
half a like going a little longer than 55 days. So
I started working for the Red Cross, I think, boy, I was still at Day Kimball. My daughter, I got her in, and we became volunteers for that too. So long before I was even in real estate, I was,
the
trying to help out.
phlebotomists are volunteers.
Volunteers for the Red Cross, yeah. So
Oh.
meeting and greeting, and I stuck people with needles when I was working at Day Kimball. But
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Dick didn't knowledge.
What was your favorite part?
That wasn't it. It was
Sticking 'em with
delivering
needles?
those results that said, okay, you guys are all set. So,
Nice.
yeah.
I mean, I think people like the cookies and juice after, so.
That's
Yeah.
why they serve grandma's cookies. So good.
Well, that's what
Good
we've
brand.
brought it up a little bit. So what we do is we always get a sponsor. And
Yeah.
what they do is they bring in a wonderful tray from Renee's.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
So we kind of hang around again to be the volunteer, like Lynn was talking about. You actually go through classes, and
Oh, wow.
I'm a D student, so there's no chance I'm doing it.
I
I'm not doing it.
You don't have any class? Is that what you're telling me?
So I sit there and hand out muffins, and
Yeah.
I'm okay at that.
I'm okay.
Okay at that.
I'm getting better.
Yeah, but that's great, using the local company instead of.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Buying
and we
involved.
do
Yeah, we're all about
as
that
much
here.
as we can. Absolutely do.
And that's Renee's Catering.
Yep.
She's always
Yep.
donating to that. That's awesome.
But there's just so much going on, and I mean, again, I know you're not strictly in Putnam and you're around the whole area, but I mean, just look at we got the axe throwing.
Yeah.
I mean, is
yeah.
there anything better than beer and axes? I mean, tell me.
Hey,
Tell me.
I used to have a men's camping weekend that was chainsaws and whiskey.
That's a moving blade.
Yeah, that's a little
When you throw the axe, what happens? to
Yeah.
that blade?
Oh.
Does it move? Or is it, maybe yours just
going
stays still?
forward.
Yeah, it moves away from you.
But I mean, we just got so much happening up that way. I mean, it's really wonderful. You've got the McGee building. They're in the process of laying, I think, the vertical part of it to put the siding up. The roof is on. It's paved. It's really great. We got Live, which is the cannabis. Like it or not, I mean, it's here in Putnam.
Yeah. yeah.
And just things like that are
What,
happening.
what street is that on?
It's right next to liquor stores.
Hand in hand.
across from the axe throwing.
When you fail at one, go to the next. But they really have gotten involved with the community too, and really want to help
Yeah.
Yeah.
support. And they want people to know that they're there to help everybody, and really important to have that.
I mean, you can't deny that that's kind of if you want the town to bounce back
Yep.
the way Putnam has. I
Yeah.
mean, you got to create that culture.
Yep.
And when when you move downtown, you're in business for yourself, but you're not in business alone.
Yep.
And that's
Right.
one of the nicest things. That's like when I became a realtor, it's like I don't feel alone at all.
No.
There's 40 some odd agents in our
Yeah.
thing and
Yep.
you can call any one of them, for
Yeah.
help or questions or anything,
And look what Killingly's doing.
Oh.
I mean, they're doing a fabulous
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Downtown's coming back. They're doing a fabulous job. That Killingly Association is terrific. Woodstock's working at it hard. Thompson's got a beautiful one.
Yeah.
And then we're all just basically under the guidance of Northeast Chamber, which is just a fabulous organization.
Sweet.
Elle's doing a super job.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They, we were at the same Woodstock Economic Development meeting, and it just you could tell everybody's moving in that same direction together.
Yep.
is really cool to see. You know, especially like when you hear about, you know, bartenders, the 3 or 4 bars up in Putnam, when they run out of a certain liquor,
Yep.
they go next door and buy it from the
Right.
bar.
Yeah.
And they, you know, they help each other out.
Not legally, but
Oh,
so only mention 1 or 2. Okay. Yeah.
I didn't.
Let's talk about sweet and low. When you run out of sweet and low, then they go wide. Yeah. It's a lot easier.
Gotcha.
Wish we edited it.
Oh, I just thought like that was kind of cool that you know they help each other out even though
Yeah.
they're competitors. The
Absolutely.
same with realtors; they help each other out even though they're competitors.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
it's
And that's
kind
one
of
of the
a
interesting
great
things
thing.
about our business too. Again, whether you're a carpenter or electrician, I mean, sometimes it gets a little bit competitive that way. We're competitive, but we have to cooperate.
We have
Right.
to work
Yep.
together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I may have the buyer, Kazantzis may have the seller. I mean, it's just it's a combination that's so we
sure.
work. It's a completely different industry, I think, than most.
yeah, and if this deal is weird, you know, the next one's going to be even more weird.
Yeah.
So it's just
Absolutely.
you just got to work through it and be the professional that you know keeps everything calm and
Yep.
and then everybody will make out in the end. You know, whether the deal closes or not, you won't. It shouldn't be a fight.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, everyone's
Regardless,
goal
so.
is the same at the end. You want
Right.
to close on the house.
Right.
You want people to be happy about it.
Right.
But every single deal, I don't know how many there's been, something different will come up on
Oh, yeah.
every single one. You can't anticipate it.
From the beginning, I was like, every transaction is a living, breathing item.
Yep.
It is.
Right.
It is not. No, there are no two are alike, and no
No.
two pieces of real estate are alike. Even
Correct.
you go out
Yeah.
west, and they have those subdevelopments that are every 4 feet is the same exact house, but even those have a different coordinates
Yeah.
on the field. You know, so
My mom
it's-
always wanted to have a monopoly board, a real estate monopoly board. So, you know, roll the dice and go 6 spaces, and you're like, oh, septic failed.
Oh,
Go,
right on.
go to jail.
go to jail. Or you could have the what's that one where the broker has the funds that are together, you know, like he puts the deposit in his own bank account by accident.
Oh,
or
By accident.
Oh, didn't mean it.
something. I forget what that's called because I don't deal with that
Go to
part.
jail.
Commingling funds or something like
Yeah.
that. Go to jail.
Wire fraud.
And it's changing all the time. You
Right.
you and Lynn know that as well as anyone. I mean, basically what happens is DJ Brayton, who's our office manager, she'll send out a notice, and I hate opening them because it means something else came up. What was the latest?
What form now?
Is it always your fault?
Oh, it always is.
If there's a mistake, it's always Dick's fault.
It is usually something from when what they did before. They don't want to do that anymore. That generation did before.
When you want paperwork? No. But the latest one is septic line inspection. So if you live in, let's say, the city,
Yeah.
and you've got a septic line connected or a sewer line connected to the city, they're looking for inspections now.
What?
Oh, yeah. Yep. So $270. It goes back to the buyer.
What do they put a camera in
put a
there? You
scope-
got to
we
get
put a scope down
oh
there.
my
Yeah, they
In
got
fact, these might fit.
Business.
I don't know.
That might be all they're good for.
Might be making more money doing that than sitting behind this mic.
But nowhere near as fun.
That's
Smells way
very
better
true.
down
I've
there.
been to some pretty fun septic inspections.
Who hasn't? I took my son to a septic inspection. He was probably 7. And it was early, you know, in my career. And he was flinging a flashlight, flinging a vroom, right down.
Right in it.
The septic inspector said, "We're not fetching that one." You know, so, yeah,
That's funny.
yeah.
Was that before they used to? So I've seen them flush a thing, the sensor to find it.
Oh, Ralphie. Yeah. Remember?
That's
our
what they call
parents
it? Ralphie?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, I was down in Voluntown, and I don't know what your generation was thinking, but a 4-year-old with a box of crayons can do a better as-built than 90% of the as-builts that are in there from before the 90s.
Yeah.
Just like, so I was at Voluntown, and it had 2 measurements from each corner of the house, and I measure the crosshair, dig down 3 feet, nothing. I switch the dimensions, dig down, nothing.
Boy.
Glenn Parent shows up to pump it out, and he's laughing at me because now it's looking like Swiss cheese everywhere. And he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Look at the dimensions. What do you think? What combination should we go with?" And I'm like, "With the garage, with just the house, with not the." This is like, and finally, he flushes Ralphie, and we ended up finding it, and
It was in the neighbor's yard.
he was like, "If this doesn't go through," he was like, "Let them have their septic guy. Don't give them my name. I don't want to have to come here and dig this up again." I was like, Jesus.
But it's
Yeah.
amazing. The whole transaction has gotten so complicated. But again, that's why we
why
get
we're
paid.
here.
Yeah.
That's why we get paid. I mean,
Yeah.
from the mortgage to the inspections to the appraisal to the perk test, as we talked about,
Yeah.
surveys, radon. There's so much going on. And again, folks say, look, you listed it, and with the market fairly active as it is, we might get 2 or 3 offers on a particular house, and we might put it on deposit in 6 days or 5 days. But our work starts then. That's when it starts.
Oh, yeah.
It starts after the contract.
Right.
Yeah. Finding the buyer right now is relatively easy.
Yeah.
Completing it to closing has become much more difficult.
Yeah. That's always been
Yep.
the real,
Yep.
shows what you're made of.
Yeah.
Is to get it to the finish line.
Yeah. I think that comes with the kind of experience that we have because we know the people who to call, and we know, you need an electrician. Oh my goodness! All of a sudden, we need something in 48 hours, and
Yeah.
we have the relationships with those people.
Right.
I think
Yeah.
that is really, really important.
Yeah, I had 4 or 5 of my subs in the house at once, and
Yeah.
they were like, "Oh, is Matt back in construction again?" I was like, no.
And gosh knows we haven't had to have 2 dumpsters in one site in almost a month.
What do you guys find is the biggest barrier in every contract? A common theme that you constantly face that you're like, okay, we got to get over this.
It's not the mortgages anymore. It really isn't. It's the home inspections. I think that has a lot to do with it. And what happens, Kyle, it's kind of interesting because we just had one recently where they said, look at, again, if a buyer comes to me and says, I need this house or I want this house, and there's 3 other bids, and they say, I don't want to do a home inspection, I'm saying, I'm not representing you. You're not buying a house without a home inspection. It's not right. You shouldn't be doing that. But we have some interesting ones now. They'll say, look, I'll do a home inspection for my own particular reason to find out. But if it exceeds 10,000, 15,000, I'm willing to pay the difference. So really, it's the home inspection part of it.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we have to deal with that on a regular basis. So you walk in, there's a broken window, and they say, okay, this is good. And they see that, and they see something else, the buyer does. And they come back on a home inspection and want the broken window. And no, that wasn't
That
what
was
was there.
Yeah.
We're looking for the stuff you can't see, the radon,
Yeah.
termites, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the other thing is just the different personalities. So where there's no such thing as a perfect house. Someone might see a cracked window, and that they may not have anything to do with construction or know how easy of a fix that is.
Yep.
So they kind of freak out. Oh, it's a broken window. We can't buy it like this.
Right.
And and it's that kind of just giving them that full education as to like, well, we'll get a quote on the broken window, and then we can get a credit for it.
Yep.
And that kind of thing, or we can have it fixed before closing, depending on how the negotiations go. Stuff like that. Just seeing where each individual client's panic factor
Yeah.
comes into play.
True.
Um,
And when-
Paint color?
It's, I mean, it's
Well, then they have family and they have friends, or someone bought a house
Yeah.
recently, and they're leading them to say, you need to have this repaired. And
yeah,
it's so individual.
yeah, and then
Right
there's
on the house.
there's other personalities affecting the one that you're working
Yeah.
with, and then just finding that point that where you can give it to them in a perspective where they
That's
kind of
exactly
understand
right.
it, and there are red flags where you can advise to
Right.
say, if they're not going to meet this or pay for this, then we got to walk away.
And oftentimes they're red flags that we see as realtors
Right.
that the buyer doesn't see.
Yeah, I mean, you've been in thousands of homes, right? Thousands of home inspections.
Yeah,
Right.
that bubbling backyard is always fun. Yeah. What's that?
This is a hot spring, a hot and smelly spring.
So this one goes on the Monopoly board. One of my very first deals. I remember the house. It was in Thompson, and it was my very first septic inspection. It was Arthur. Who doesn't love Arthur Parent?
Okay.
And
Yeah.
he's doing his septic inspection. We're running the water, and SpaghettiOs are coming out
Oh,
in
no.
the backyard. Like, well. That's not a good sign. you know? Yeah, that was something that was a red flag for sure.
Septic fail on your first one, huh?
Yeah,
It's,
happens.
yeah.
It happens.
It's,
And what does the buyer know? Oh, the kid had SpaghettiOs, and
Yeah.
like but they shouldn't be coming out there.
you go through waves. I've had two failed septics in a row. One of the other agents at the same time was going through a phase of 3 failed septics in a row. 3 different. It's like, wow, we're doing great. We're replacing all the septics in New England this week, apparently.
Yeah, things seem to come in waves.
Yeah.
Right on. Oh, then you're good.
Yeah.
And it comes in waves with the inspectors too. Back in the day, it was like, oh, you got double taps in your box in your electric panel, or, it's crazy. So
Yeah.
I think living through decades of this is really, it's helpful, and you can help those clients figure out what really needs to be addressed.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, there's codes that are always changing, and I come from the building side of it, so I was always like, well, that's overkill, but we got to do
Right.
this code, or it's underkill. There's actually codes out there that are, believe it or not, underregulated.
And I think one of
very
those,
rare.
I think one of those is smoke detectors and the carbon monoxide. I mean, again, in Massachusetts, when we sell a home up there, what happens is we'll go in there, and the fire marshal will come out and say, I need one there. And we have them in our trunk. And we say,
Yeah.
okay, here's one. Okay, here's one. In Connecticut, it just changes. Every town's a little bit different. Do they have to be outside the bedrooms? Do they have to be inside the bedrooms? Do they have to be over the cooking? So that becomes an issue. And again, they've changed the law on that recently.
And it's funny
Yep.
because in Connecticut, there's the affidavit
Yeah.
at closing, and each lawyer will advise differently on how do you handle it.
That's true.
Because there was I don't think it's like that anymore, where you could pay
$250.
$250
so easy.
and
That was the
Get
easiest
rid
way to
of
do
the-
it.
get
get rid of the
liability.
liability. And then some would say, no, just go to Lowe's, buy the
Yep.
smoke detectors, and leave them on the kitchen table.
Or go to Walmart. Go to Walmart. I mean, I'm sorry.
No, go to your local hardware store.
Modern lumber. Go to modern
Modern lumber.
All
Yes,
right,
yes.
all right. See Mike.
Yes, and Mike will be coming on here too.
Good.
Yeah,
Oh, good.
I talked
Great
to
guy.
him recently. So,
Yep.
Good.
having his big, he's having his big grand opening November 7th. So,
Oh, no, good.
so he's having a
Good.
pig roast and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Right downtown.
yeah, right at Modern Lumber. They're gonna shut the place. They're gonna close at 12 and
Yeah.
and start celebrating. So,
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
yeah, that's really cool how that went down. I can't wait to hear his story because he's big construction background. you
Good.
know, did a lot of stuff. I think he replaced most of the drainage in Hartford. So
Oh,
just
terrific.
like
Wow. Well,
before.
it's good.
But again, Matt, back to the regular part of it. Is just get involved in the community. I don't care,
Yeah.
whether it's the Elks or a board or anything. Teague is just a wonderful organization.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to do the auction the last 3 years. It's been a lot of fun, and just got to meet, like I said, you meet people that you normally wouldn't see. Get out of your comfort level.
Right.
Get out of that zone just a little bit,
Oh yeah.
and go see folks.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, we did that in at Foxwoods.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Remember, we were standing with another realtor. We won't, won't
Okay.
say his name,
Yeah.
but you were like, "All right, let's all go meet 3 different people
Yeah.
right now, and we'll come back and talk about it."
Get their cards.
Yeah, get
Absolutely,
their
get their
cards,
cards.
and give a card.
Yep.
And, and the second you walked away, he goes to me, he goes, "I can't do that." I was like, "What do you mean you can't do that?" And he's like, "Not happening." Like,
Is he still a realtor?
oh yeah, he's actually a very good realtor. He's just not into going up to complete strangers and talking to them. Where Dick and I are like, oh, how many strangers you talked to today, Dick? At least 2, right? Whether the stranger liked it or not.
Yeah, I recently joined another. I was asked by a famous guy, and when he says, "Hey, do you want to be on a board?" You're like, you have to say yes. So I'm on the Rosen Park legacy campaign to,
Oh, yeah.
to get
Okay.
to get the park back to standards where hopefully the guy who started it would have wanted to see it. So
okay.
I'm trying to step back from things, but it's like, okay, here's another thing. And I've met some phenomenal people whose names you always hear, but you didn't know them.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so it's just been great.
And that's a difficult one, Lynn, too, because you're asking for money. You really are. That's a
Have
tough
I
one.
asked you yet?
I wrote the check. But yeah.
Yeah, but it's again, getting involved in the community, I think really, really makes our business better for us.
Right.
So
Yeah. And it just, I mean, overall, when, you're doing things to improve the town, improve the community, improve, improve the experience of doing business
yeah,
anywhere, it all adds to it in the end for everybody,
Yep.
For everybody's business. And,
yeah.
it's just, you couldn't, when I was in high school, I would have never imagined Putnam would be where it is today,
No.
20 years ago when I was in high school, just to give you a time frame.
Thank
was
you.
in high school
Thank
a
you.
lot longer ago than that.
I'm doing the math quickly.
I wasn't doing that to say anything about anybody, but it
And
was
I think it's involvement with certain people.
yeah,
And slowly it came back and it came back, and now the towns that were kind of ghost towns have really changed because of that.
yeah, and even just as something as simple as getting all the farmers in the center of town once a week for a farmers market.
Yeah.
I mean, just
Yep.
brings everybody out together, and it's really cool to see like a lot of the handmade stuff come back. And as a woodworker
Yep.
for years, when I was a contractor, or even before that, when I worked for somebody as a carpenter, it was like you really couldn't make a living just building stuff at your house.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Which to me was like kind of a kick. It was like, you could make something really nice. Like my grandfather used to make toys,
Yep.
and it just the money was never there. So if you can't support yourself, then that craft kind of dies a little bit.
I make kindling. I make big pieces of wood and I make little pieces and then I burn it. I'm not real good at this woodworking, so maybe we can have a class later.
You don't want it from him, but anyone else, I'm sure.
I thought we talked about this earlier. We don't have class.
But we need to wrap our arms around Big Kimball Hospital too. What a wonderful organization. Employs so many people and does such good things locally. So, that's one of the things I think we have that's just, it's a gem. It's a gem, and they're wonderful people. And Kyle Kramer up there, he's just spectacular, and all the folks that are in development and all that. So we're very fortunate to have that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. They, I mean, more than half my family was born there.
Okay.
It was like we're Danielson people, the Duquettes on my mom's side, and it was like almost everybody that was on our bloodline was born
Yep.
there.
Yeah.
For
Yeah. And I spent
ages.
a lot of time there. Working there.
Right.
And there's still some of the same people are still there.
Wow.
Which is great. A lot of them obviously have retired or have moved on, but I still have clients from there from a long time ago.
Yeah.
And they're independent, right? They never got bought
they
out,
still
right?
are independent. Yeah.
And the other one, shout out to the town halls, the town officials. I mean, look what Bonnie's
Yeah.
doing for us, and all those folks over there. They're doing a great job. Mary Ann, they're all doing a wonderful job. Thompson's just terrific, and Killingly, and they do a wonderful job. And again, it's not like they're objecting to things. You go in there with an idea, and they say, "How can we help?" Instead of
Right.
no, denied.
Yes.
So I think that's
Yes.
really, really important.
One I will tip my hat to
Yep.
every time we talk about town officials is in Plainfield, Cunningham.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were in a meeting, one of the, I don't know if it was a CID meeting or what it was, but somebody was like, I was thinking about starting this business here. And he ran in. He said, don't go anywhere. He runs into his office. He comes back out with his packet. He's like, this is what you got to do
Good.
to get through all the red tape. He says, this is my cell phone number. He says,
Wow.
if you come to a problem, call me. And I was just like, that's the attitude you need
Yep.
at the town level is how can we help
Yeah.
make your business work instead of nope, you did
Yeah,
it wrong.
Denied.
Denied.
Big
You
red
know?
denied, yep.
Yeah, and we've all seen those town officials.
No. We don't want to go there.
But it's really cool to like back to Fire and Ice. You always see Barney there,
Yeah.
Sure.
and I always love talking to him. He's so knowledgeable about all the different businesses in town, and he's just so ingrained into it.
Yep.
It's not just a job for him. It's
He's not much of a swimmer. He went in for the
He did okay.
pluck a duck. He went in the pool. It was pretty ugly.
Oh, I thought it was good. He plucked the winning duck,
He did.
or was that Tom?
Might have been either
Yeah.
one.
Doesn't seem like a coincidence at all.
No, I just think we're fortunate to live in Northeast Connecticut.
oh yeah,
It
for
really
sure,
is.
for sure.
Yep.
Even
Absolutely.
yeah, I was busting one of our friends, one of the Meehan boys, about how much they travel, and I'm like, why would you want to go anywhere? This is the best place ever. This is the best place. I think you were there when I was having this conversation, and he was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, when was the last time you even had a full hurricane hit this hit our soil?
Yep.
I was like, we have the sound that just knocks them down, and it becomes a tropical storm by then. And then it's very rare that we even have hard storms, or knock on wood.
Yeah.
You're right. Between the
It is-
golfing and the other
there's
things, I
always a
mean,
balance.
Marion and I took a walk through the dam yesterday. West Thompson
okay.
Dam. It was
Yep.
spectacular.
Yeah.
3 miles. It was just
Yeah,
beautiful.
we camp down there.
Okay.
Usually at least once or more a year.
In the campground or
In
somewhere
the
else?
campground.
Okay.
No, in
I thought you walked, fell down, camped. Wasn't sure.
No, we love that campground. We always have, especially when the kids were young, because the little playscape is right in the middle.
Okay.
It's only about 20 sites and a little almost cul-de-sac of
Yep.
campsites, and we gave the kids walkie-talkies and their bikes, and they could be so independent there. It was it's just a quiet campground
Yep.
with plenty of hiking, and you could go fishing, and all that stuff. So we our kids grew up there 4 or 5 times a summer. We would
Bigelow
do that a
Hollow
lot.
State Park is another
Yeah.
great place
Yeah.
around here.
Yeah.
So yeah, you just have to, think a little bit off Main Street. And
Yeah.
there's wonderful places.
Bigelow Hollow is really good too about notifying you when they're closed because the parking lot's full.
Right.
I see that all the time, which is awesome. You
Yeah.
know, that
Yeah.
people are using it and taking advantage of it.
Yeah. I was with some of friends. Kayla went to college with the wife, and we hang out with them and their kids all the time now. They live about an hour away in Massachusetts, and we kind of took them. We took them to the courthouse, and then we also toured through Putnam. We walked around Putnam, and then we got drinks at Sawdust, and they were just like, because we did beforehand we did the corn maze up in Thompson, so they got to see, and then we went to Alamode, had
Something yummy.
had some
Yeah.
snacks.
Did you ask him to come on the podcast? Alamo.
I talked to him about it.
Oh,
So, he came out and said hi to us, and I was like, "You the owner?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, kinda."
I think one of the difficult economic things we have are the state lines.
okay.
I mean, you've got Rhode Island. You go across there again. I was licensed in Rhode Island for a while, and I couldn't even find Forster, let alone. So my dad and I used to go up every Saturday up to Mr. Z's, which was Pat's Lakeview, just on 44. It's probably from East Putnam Road to there is less than a mile. We're sitting there one time, and some folks were across the bar, and they said, "Where are you from?" We said, "Connecticut." "You came all the way from here?" I mean, on a good day, it's 3 chips and a putt. But and the same thing with Mass.
Yeah.
And I think the folks in Thompson, maybe you folks in Woodstock, gravitate that way. We never did. To go over the Mass line, might as well go to New Hampshire. I was just,
pack a lunch.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, you're talking to the guy that his grandfather rarely left Danielson.
Okay.
So yeah, I come from a line of homebodies in that respect.
I got a good friend, Bob Fournier, who owns the funeral homes. And he said he grew up in Woonsocket, and most people in Woonsocket don't even know they have oceans in Rhode Island. I mean, they never leave.
Woonsocket, throw me down the
They've
stairs, my
forgotten.
shoes. French Canadian.
French Canadian, yes. So I
My
worked
grandfather
with a
was
guy
French
that
Canadian.
spoke like that.
My mother went to a private all girls high school in
Yeah.
Woonsocket. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Throw me down the stairs, my hammer. Yeah, we used to say that all the time. I opened the door and there she was, gone. There's a lot of French Canadian people around here, and I'm one of them. So it was always cool to work with them too. Some of the baby boomers in the era, and they actually one in particular that I worked with a lot. Whenever we walked down or we were on Main Street or whatever, he would talk about it and almost come to tears as to the way it was in the 50s, 60s, 70s.
Yep.
It was like a little market, there was always people hustling, bustling. You could barely drive a car down. There would be so many
Yeah.
people there during the day, every day. And, that kind of hit me back then. You know what I mean? I was a contractor, and I was like, that's sad, and to see what's going on now and the progression to bring all that back, the small business, the vendors, the events that bring in all the vendors, and where people are. Oh, I live in Davis and I love it, that kind of
absolutely.
thing. And and to hear people say, "Oh, I really want a house in Putnam if we can get there." To meet people like that just want their roots here.
And we're
it's really
finding
big.
more and more people from farther away,
Yeah,
Yeah. And maybe COVID had something to do with that. But, I mean, really,
right.
we
Yeah,
really had an influx of
Yeah.
outsiders,
yeah, for
But
sure.
I think now local people realize, wow, doesn't matter what town you live in.
Yeah.
You still have that community, whether you're in Brooklyn or Killingly or Putnam,
Yeah, in my, I guess, short years in real estate, 7 years.
All my years are
Kim-
short, Matt.
Well, in comparison to the careers you guys have had, I've already moved people from Arizona, California. The California person also had a place in Hawaii. I moved in someone from Texas, somebody from Florida. They come from all over the place.
Absolutely.
And it really is just a quiet gem.
Yeah.
And I think every year we get a little louder and a little better,
Yeah.
and it's really cool to see.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
Great.
bringing back that whole local community feel.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what we're all about here.
Yeah. Here to continue to do that.
Well, thank you guys so
Well,
much.
thank you guys.
for
Appreciate
coming
inviting us.
on. Yeah, you're always welcome in my house and at the bench.
Oh, thanks.
We'll be here next Monday. 5:30.
Okay, we got to get more mics.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you need more wine.
Oh no, he doesn't need
We
more.
always buy that in bulk. Thanks for watching, everyone. Join us again Monday night, October 2nd, when we go live with Enviro Clean and Restores owner-operator Eric Anderson. It'll be very interesting. He does stuff like remediate mold and whatnot.
Everyone needs that.
It should be fun. So we'll see you next Monday night at 6. As always, buy local, hire local, dine local, volunteer local, donate local, move here locally with one of our amazing realtors. Have great days, everybody.